You're not a fan of Shay's bars. You're trying to bar them. But there's no country
Yeah.
for old men. Shouts to Javier Bardem.
Yo, what?
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wemlu. I'm joined by co-host Alex Wong. This is the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. Make sure you follow Hello Welcome wherever you listen to podcasts at Hello Welcome Pod. Trade deadline is coming up soon. We got lots of interviews coming up soon. We got a trip to Atlanta coming up soon as the Raptors take on the Atlanta Hawks 2 games in a row in Atlanta. We will be there for those. So lots of exciting content dropping on the way. But for today's episode, following up on what we talked about in the Banter Pod in December, we had an in and out list, but specifically for the NBA. So Alex, this has been your baby. This has been your idea. Please explain what we're doing today.
Yeah, we're about halfway through the NBA season and just want to go through some things that are in for us, some things that are out for us, things that we like, things that we don't like. This is basically any podcast format that you have seen, but dressed up differently. Winners and losers.
Oh hell yeah!
What else is there? Like stocks, like ups and downs. What else? What else are your favorite podcast formats dressed up a little differently?
The niche NBA podcast. If you've listened to enough seasons of NBA podcasts, you know that there's always early season, small sample size theater.
Small sample size theater, yeah.
Yeah, there's always that. There's always a trade deadline special, and of course, we will give you one of those as well.
Trade deadline special, power rankings.
There's definitely power rankings. It's a pretty classic one.
Yeah, drafts of stuff, predictions.
Winners and losers is like really easy. Of course, like over under win totals at the start of the season. Like you know. Yeah. There's a whole strategy to all this.
Yeah, so let's get into our ins and outs. We can bounce around here. Let's start with an in each from each of us. So what's your first in right now?
My first in actually for the season is tanking.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about this. The year in which Wemby was about to enter the draft, it was 2023. That season, I didn't remember that many teams actively tanking. Right?
You mean the Raptors were trying to actively get in the play-in and trade it for Jakob Poeltl?
This is still a point of contention for a lot of bitter Raptor fans, and I understand, to be honest. I really do understand. Because obviously you look at Wemby, it's like this is the future greatest player in the NBA, like no doubt, right? That kind of generational talent. I look back at that season. There were only 3 teams that year that won less than a quarter of their games. And the 3 teams were Detroit at 17 wins, San Antonio at 22 wins, and Houston at 22 wins. That's it. Every other team won, I think, like 27 or above. This season, in terms of teams in the NBA as of right now, currently slated to win 25 games or less, the Charlotte Hornets at 21.6 wins. So they're projected to be 22-win team. The New Orleans Pelicans, which might graduate out of this now that they're getting slightly healthier and Zion's looking good.
Yeah, Go TZ is back.
Yeah, Goat Z's back, but not the streaming site. And yeah, 21 wins though. They're currently still projected to win 21 games on the season. Portland is at 20.5. So is Toronto. They're both on pace for just 20 wins. And then Washington, hilariously, is on pace for 12.3 wins. Their current win percentage right now, 15%, is actually the 9th lowest of all time if they keep this up right now. But my point is, there are 5 teams tanking right now in the NBA, if not more. By the way, Utah should be in this list.
You got to throw Brooklyn in there, too, after that 60-point loss to the Clippers.
But the thing is, those teams might be even, they might be out of the race in terms of the tanking. My point is, though, there could be as many as 7 or 8 teams tanking this year. Versus, really, when you think back to it, there was 3 teams tanking, even though it was Wemby in the draft. So, yeah, tanking, I feel like, is super back. By the way, if you're thinking about the adjusted lottery odds, that was adjusted in 2019. So,
okay.
Yeah, this is tanking is very in this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I almost feel like, I know because we cover the Raptors, we hear about the tanking and the tankathon after every game, but it hasn't been this huge conversation. I feel like league-wide. But when you put it this way, it's like we're approaching almost a third of the teams getting into this tank, and there's probably a few teams we're going to talk about who might fall into this as well. Maybe not necessarily the top 3, but I think this speaks to the draft class that is coming up. We didn't see teams put in the effort to tank like this for this draft that just happened. that just took
No,
place. Like
no,
I think Danny Ainge was cool with his team, like just being 500.
he
He's
was
like, yeah,
good.
Will Hardy, man, go do your thing.
He was good in
Where
the West.
where it was like now you're seeing teams like this year, Utah is clearly, you know,
Yeah,
picking this
Utah.
path, and Brooklyn was a little too good.
Hmm.
And you know, Sean Marks, who somehow is, you know,
Yo, he.
in his fourth era of GMing the Nets, is
Yep.
like got spooked and was like, okay, I got to break this team up, and now they're on their way to tanking too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm with you. Tanking is very in.
By the way, I don't understand how Sean Marks was able to publicly say to a reporter, which obviously was on the record, so it was published, so this publicly, he publicly admitted to tanking and like they didn't get any repercussions at all.
Yeah, he basically told a reporter. I think the quote for context is like,
I have
"Yeah,
the
we're
quote right
not."
here. Here,
Yeah,
the
okay.
quote is this is to Brian Lewis over at the New York Post.
Yeah,
Quote:
OG.
we're going to have to be systematic with some of the decisions we make. And they may not always be in line with winning the next game or putting the most talent out there. End quote.
Yeah, Adam Silver, man.
Like what?
Where's the $2 million fine, and you got to strip the Nets of like 5 draft picks? I swear, not to be a Toronto guy, but I swear if Masai or Bobby said that, a fine would be coming.
Yo, I'm saying like I'm trying to snitch on them right now. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even hiding the fact that I'm trying to snitch on them.
So
Like,
the league has given up on caring about tanking or pretending that it doesn't exist.
this is ridiculous. The other
Yeah.
thing too was funny was Ben Simmons, I think, was asked about these comments and he was like, "Nah, we as players, we're gonna compete, man. We reject this notion." And I'm like, bro, of
Ben
all
Simmons,
people to say
of
this,
all people, you know, driving the lane and pass the ball to me.
he's like, every game is cherished. I gotta be out there playing my hardest.
Okay, tanking is in.
Tanking's
So
in, yeah.
let's see what I've got. In for me is Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic partnership
Hell
in
yeah.
Denver. The Nuggets have been playing a lot better recently. Jamal's been a lot better too, but it's really cool. I think every time Russ goes to a new team, and he's
Mhm.
been on, I want to say, like 6 teams in the last 7 seasons. There's always just like heavy debate about how he's going to fit in, how he's an inefficient player. People love to point out all the things that are wrong with his game. But all I see always, well, in the regular season at least, is a great teammate, someone who contributes every game, elevates his players. Like it, you know, still grown when he shoots those threes because like he shoots too many of them. But like you can't deny his like competitiveness. You can't deny the fact that he's been an overall positive for this Nuggets team, kind of just searching for anything because they
Mm.
didn't really have a lot of depth to start the season. So I think it's cool. I think it's really cool for Westbrook to have come into Denver and made a positive impact. Right now they're 25-16, in fourth place in the West, and kind of stabilized after a really
Oh
shaky
yeah.
start to the season. So
The numbers are that the Nuggets are 15-5 when Russell Westbrook starts.
mhm. There we
That's
go.
like that's really, really good. And I don't think anybody was expecting this. In fact, I remember a lot of questions about this signing. It's totally understandable, right? Because Russ is like very volatile. Sometimes he goes to a situation and completely blows up. But sometimes he's really beloved. And I think that like, my question here is obviously Russell is a good he's been a great player. He's still a good player. Obviously he's context dependent like most good players are. But it does feel like Jokic kind of like has really unlocked a lot of what, Russ can do. And I feel like in terms of rehabilitating players, like what's like the worst player that you could put beside Nikola Jokic, and then all of a sudden we start loving that player again? Because I think very much like
Ooh.
Russ needed to have somebody sort of to like not
Might
put him in the right place, but just like accentuate and bring the best out of him. Like, what's the worst player that
might
Jokic is
be
still to bring the best out of?
might be Zion, man. Jokic and Zion
No,
might be
Jokic and Zion would be crazy.
might be
Man.
those are the Planet Fitness boys, man.
No, man, no way.
Those
I'd
would be
never
the
want to
Planet-
see that. Damn, honestly, for the league, it'd be bad for the league if those two play together.
It would be bad for the league.
No, I'm
Why,
just
man?
saying, like,
You don't want Jokic to be a mentor to Zion?
I think
that would
Zion
be awesome.
Zion's gonna get in shape because Jokic is gonna throw him like 10 like dunks a game.
Which NBA star player has like bad PR right now? Like who? I
Yeah,
mean Zion definitely. Like
Zion.
who needs that rehab? I don't even know
So
who's out there.
let me suggest to you somebody who
Okay.
is I believe an impending free agent.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. See, yeah, I can see. The thing is, Ben actually has to like want to play basketball every night and like
Whoa,
actually
what do you
shoot.
mean?
Like all the things that has just gone from his game. But yeah, I can see Ben Simmons filling in like
Right?
a Westbrook type role. like a
Yeah.
supporting. I think if Ben Simmons wants to be, he can be a great role player
Yeah.
on a team like that. So I do
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway, shouts to Jokic once again. But do you think he's going to win MVP again? You know, his stats are the best in the league.
His stats are the best,
I
but
think it's Shai's this year, man.
yeah, I
Has
think
to
the
be.
campaign, the narrative is moving towards Shea. So,
Mm.
what's up, Jerome?
Oh, well, you were just naming players. Isn't the player that you have been talking about most recently that you're not sure if he's in or out Jimmy Butler?
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Jimmy to
That would be tough,
Denver.
too.
Jimmy to Denver would be really cool too.
Yeah.
Although I guess this transitions to me being out on my out. My first out is Jimmy Butler. Just the
Okay.
Jimmy Butler trade saga. I know we touched on it a little bit on Friday on the post game show, but yeah, the Jimmy Butler trade saga just doesn't hit anymore. He's in his mid-30s. He's heading towards near the end of his career. Still a very strong player, but just not interested in all the bickering and back and forth that's going on with him and the Miami Heat. I find it really boring.
Do you buy this like he's back? You know, Kevin Love's been putting out Instagram posts featuring the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I
By
think
the way,
the
did
guys
not
are
end
having
well for the Wolf of Wall Street, but we'll just keep moving.
the guys are having fun with it. Like Jimmy's wearing the Michael Jordan 4-5 like in his
Yeah.
post game presser and
Right.
saying cryptic things like it's never been a problem with these guys in the locker room. Those are not the guys that I have a problem with.
Uh-huh.
It's like there's no but there's no like intrigue to this. Like your team didn't give you a contract. They're not going to sign you long term, and you want to be traded.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I just find myself very bored by all this extracurriculars from Jimmy, where I was previously entertained by this stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like we've done this before. It's like,
Yeah.
like what's new? There's nothing new. And
It definitely feels like every year there has to be one ongoing trade saga, no matter what. You know, it's like when you watch a TV show that's like, been on air for like 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons.
Yeah.
Like there's just always one forced storyline every year.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, Jimmy Butler is just kind of like the NBA equivalent of like, characters from like Friends dating each other. Like there's once a season, like they'll make two of the 6 people date each other. And it's just
like a Christmas episode. Like every season needs a Christmas episode.
Sure. Yeah.
So the Christmas episode is Jimmy Butler wanting a trade.
And I just like I don't know what back and forth Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley are going to get into that'll be like relevant. And we all know like Jimmy's just going to end up on Phoenix. This is what happens when a player wants when a player
how
goes
is he going to end up on Phoenix?
They're going to swing some 6-way trade and throw Bradley Beal's contract in there. And then the Raptors are going to jump in and facilitate. Be like, yo,
how do the Raptors help this one? Like, how are they facilitating?
Raptors are like, yo, man, here's
Bruce
Brown's 23.
Yeah.
Here's who else got? Here's Kelly's, 11.
No, Kelly's not even expiring. So it does. Well, I mean, I suppose you could still be a part of this, but
I still think. Well, it's just there's a history of once a player has indicated the one team that he wants to go to, he usually ends up there, except for like Kawhi.
Right.
Well, yeah.
No, but like 95% of the times, like
these days there aren't really any surprises.
Don't you got to be with Clutch Sports to like actually land on the spot you want to though?
Yeah, well, there's this talk now. The report is that Jimmy is upset that the team is prioritizing the development of Tyler Hero and Bam because they're younger.
That's Heat culture.
And he would rather be a third option to KD and Devin Booker versus being a third option to these two, which fair. I mean,
this is a scenario then where if Jimmy wants to really prove his point, he needs to take a group of third stringers in Heat practice and try to beat this group.
But
again,
let's
see if that works out.
See, I would be down for a rerun of that. That would be a good rerun. Yeah,
this is a TV show again, like going back to like its greatest hits and like, I don't know.
I think it's also like not that interesting because the other person on the other side is Pat Riley, and I don't know that there's a player that is on Pat Riley's side. Like, I don't think they're against them, but. Isn't he like the best example of like an organization not caring too much about your autonomy?
Yeah. Exactly. And we're very very pro labor on this podcast, but also I think societally there's just like a very strong push in that front, which doesn't favor Pat Riley. But also at the same time, I do feel like it would help if like this felt like the league's balance swung on this. You know, like when it was Kevin Durant's free
True.
agency, it's like, okay,
True.
this is going to change the whole league. When
True.
LeBron hit free agency, it's going to change the whole league. When Jimmy Butler is like, I want to get traded and he might end up on Phoenix, I'm like, I'm still not going to care about Phoenix after you're there.
This is really just
and if he stays in Miami, I'm still not going to care that much about Miami. By the way, he returned in the game against, the red hot Denver Nuggets. They still lost. They lost by 30. Or they lost by 20. They lost 133 to 113. Jimmy Butler comes back. You're seeing all the interviews of him wearing the 4-5. Bro, you guys lost by 20. That's not wearing the 4-5.
Yeah, that's a tough look.
No, it's a super tough look.
I mean, isn't that actually like the most accurate like Jordan return, because his first game back he was kind of washed?
Oh yeah, he was.
What about the double nickel? Let me see a double nickel if you're gonna wear.
Yeah, well, that's gonna come soon. He just needs to make it to Madison Square Garden.
Fair enough.
All right, Will, what you got for an out?
My first out, I actually have a few outs here. Some of them will be quicker. But I think in this sort of context, just like the star heavy teams that are like led by old stars. You know, those like bloated contracts of like 3 stars and then role players, that whole system just isn't working anymore, especially in the regular season.
Yeah, look at Phoenix.
You look at Phoenix. It's a classic example, right? You look at Golden State. It's a similar thing. And then you look at even the Lakers. I know their record is decent, but ultimately when you watch them, they're pretty underwhelming a lot of nights. Yeah, these teams led by KD, Steph, LeBron, I would even throw the Sixers into this, although the Sixers are individual out for me, so I'll get to them later. But
nice.
It just doesn't feel like that sort of old system was working. That's probably like a strategy that worked under the previous CBA, but right now it seems like depth is very much in. So, it just all these old teams are just kind of irrelevant.
This is why the NBA is failing, man. Depth is it?
No, I mean, trust me.
Feel the depth.
Whoa! But one of my ins is just teams that are 10 deep.
Yeah,
because like the Cavs, OKC. I was watching that game and I'm like, there's a lot of good players on both your teams, and some of them barely even play. Yeah,
I actually think this is a great call, and I think under this new regime, this new deal that CJ McCollum, Grant Williams, and Garrett Temple signed of the second apron, you can't afford one bad contract.
Yeah, that's why teams are all afraid to trade for anybody.
Yeah, it's really hard now to be like, okay, well, we're just gonna put money into 2-3 guys and really figure it out. Like I think, like I'm not saying IQ or RJ are bad contracts, but it's
they're
like
not.
They have to live up to those contracts. Like players have to live up to that, and so I am interested to see where it goes now. Like when you look at some of the other teams that might be coming up and how they're going to build. Like, Cleveland, even Minnesota. Like, what's Minnesota going to do next? Like, Minnesota already moved off the Cat contract for financial reasons. Like, what's their next move this coming summer? Because like they're gonna need a star next to Ant, but then they're also gonna need to manage that with like depth too, right?
Right.
And the problem right now for them is like their star in terms of salary is Rudy Gobert. So
that's crazy.
So those are your 2 stars, and is that enough for you to go out then and have enough players around them to contend? And I think
that's a good question.
Yeah, the earlier the teams figure this stuff out, the better, because then you have Phoenix who just keeps cycling through. And is like, yo, we're gonna bring in Nick Richards now.
Hey man, like, big double in his first game. Come on
Nick,
now.
Yeah, big Nick energy. But it's just you can't trap yourself into 3 stars.
Yeah,
you really can't do it anymore. So yeah, I'm super interested in this because like I think this will just lead to like a lot of parity.
Right
now, where like across the league, you're gonna look at it.
This reminds me of In the Wire when they were like, no, payphones and pagers are out. They're in the era where they're taking photos of a clock and sending them through text message. They're in the MMS era.
The only thing I don't like about this new CBA is just it forces teams to have to like break up teams a little bit too early.
Yeah, like I actually don't feel better that Minnesota is no longer relevant, which is really sad. Like,
and good news for us. I mean, Boston might be headed to have to like break up a little bit in a few years.
And it's like unless they sell to like really really rich Saudi owners, like
they
probably can't keep this team around. Which I mean, like again, it's good for us because we hate the Celtics, but objectively, it's like they also built their team fair and square.
And there's something weird about like Jalen Brunson having to take like $115 million pay cut,
right?
Just so the team can keep building.
I
Like
mean,
that doesn't seem right either.
do you think he looks at OG differently a little bit? Just a little bit?
Well, OG's got to be paying for everything, right? I think he bought them all Nintendo Switches or something too. Probably
Okay.
just out of guilt. He's like, damn, I'm making 40 mil.
Yo, the best player to be right now is a role player for the Knicks, man.
No, I think.
Like,
I mean,
you're just
I think
getting free shit for no reason.
let me know if this is pro labor or not. But I think the CBA should just have like slots. So like on every team, somebody makes 50 million,
Yeah,
and then 30 million, and then like 5 guys make 15.
I don't think the players or the owners would go for that.
Well, the players seem to go for anything based on the current landscape.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So,
That's fair.
all right, let's see. What else
What's your
do
next
I
in?
have? My in, okay, I'm going to combine these. It's just new announcements and hires for the upcoming NBA TV deal has me excited. So Blake Griffin
Okay.
and Dirk Nowitzki announced as commentators for the Amazon show that's going to be on that's coming next year, I guess. And then NBA on NBC is coming back, and they had a super cool ad with actor Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock. He was with Giannis, Wemby, and Jason Tatum. I just think we've needed a bit of a breath of fresh air when it comes to new former players coming in as commentators, even just new networks covering the team, and just a new approach. So some of these things have me excited. I think Blake and Dirk have always been really good, just as guys, like, whether it's just on podcasts, appearances, and things like that.
Right.
So I'm really excited about seeing what those two can do, because I think they'll be really good.
Yeah, I agree, and plus they got Taylor Rooks hosting that show on Amazon too. So that's like I really like that studio when it was announced.
Blake
too.
Griffin's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win 5 Emmys in the next 6 years."
I mean, actually, given what we know about both of them, it will be Dirk saying that. But
oh god,
no, I mean, excited to see what the NBC crew sort of what they put together as well.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna tab like Noah Eagle or like the Eagles.
okay.
One of the Eagles, and I'm not talking Philadelphia.
Sir, a second Eagle has entered the booth.
I mean, honestly, they're both pretty amazing. Shouts to Noah Eagle doing impressions of his own
Shouts
father.
to the Eagles, man.
No,
Damn.
the Eagles are up right now. I guess, are they in football too? Maybe. But in any case, yeah, like
don't you feel like in
it's gonna be fun,
general
yeah.
you need a little bit of breath of fresh air?
Well,
I know everybody's fans of Inside the NBA, but like you look at ESPN coverage or just in general, I don't know, it's been like, it's not that exciting. It's cool to have these fresh voices come in.
the coolest thing for me is I missed out on that era when Shaq and Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith were playing in. And so when they tell stories about their playing days, it's hard for me to like, because I wasn't there for them. So I'm just hearing like, and I'm like, okay, that was kind of cool that, Charles
It's like,
Barkley.
you scored 50 on Derek Coleman? Okay.
I'm like, who's that? Is he a Dallas Cowboy? Like, but yeah, I mean, like I've been there for the entire career of Blake Griffin. I've been there for like the most of Dirk's career, like 90% of his career. And so I think it's just like, it does update for me a little bit of like, okay, like it's now my turn to be served, essentially. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a really good point. And both guys don't take themselves as seriously, which is, I think, just very essential to like doing this job. So
also, how do we never get a Dirk and Steve Nash podcast in this era of every player and every former player is a former podcast? Like, that would have been sick. Those guys, they had like the number one bromance in the league for a while.
I feel like Nash would probably be the one that doesn't want to do it. He seems like a pretty private dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Also,
he used to do vitamin water commercials.
What's Dirk gonna ask him? Yo, man, how was that terrible coaching stint in Brooklyn?
That'll be funny. I feel like Steve's a self-effacing guy.
I think Steve was a little too early to the game because he was getting into media along with like Baron Davis, because they were kind of like one that first wave before we had like podcasting, before we had any of that stuff. I feel maybe his Lakers stint probably readjusted his like moving forward, because I'm assuming going to LA and doing all that might have been able to, but then with that flop, it's kind of hard to be in the limelight after.
Fair enough. I'm just saying I miss Steve. I miss Steve a little bit. That's all. He is a Canadian icon after all. Okay, my next in is Draymond Green going to the craziest therapy sessions of all time.
Oh my god!
So,
what's the Draymond Green update right now?
So there's a big story that was written by Om Yamasuk, who's covering the Warriors beat this year.
Yeah, shouts to the Big O. Yeah.
And he also went on the Hoop Collective to talk about it. So then I read the article that they were talking about. And here's a snippet, because obviously you know that Draymond last year kept getting into fights, and then he got suspended indefinitely, and then basically the league put in this whole criteria of like, you know, both the Warriors and the NBA need to reinstate Draymond eventually, right? And he has to pass a certain amount of checks, and until that point is met, he was just suspended indefinitely. This how happened last year. So this is writing about what those checks were. This is from Ohm's work. As Draymond Green logged into the first NBA Zoom check-in mandated by Adam Silver, he saw 7 faces staring back at him. To ensure that Green was being held accountable and going through with counseling during his suspension, Silver set up a group that was dubbed, quote, the DG check-in calls. The NBA's Kathy Behrens, President of Social Responsibility and Player Programs, David Weiss, Executive Vice President of Operations Administration represented by the league. The Warriors also had General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr., Rick Celebrini, who is the VP of Player Health and Performance, and David Kelly, Chief Legal Officer, in on the calls. Krisa Chin, the NBA, the National Basketball Player Association's Executive Vice President of Strategy and Relations, was also joined by Green's agent, Rich Paul, on these Zoom check-ins. This is the craziest therapy sessions of all time. I mean, he also went to personal counseling on the side, and he's been doing that for 2 years. And Draymond actually talked very openly about sort of how that's helped him and, you know, whatever. But so I think they made 7 of these meetings with Draymond. And after they were done, Draymond actually insisted on doing more of them. So I think they actually, on his behest, they did 6 more of these. But my point is, this is just a crazy therapy session, man. You got your boss, you got your other boss from like the union side, you got your own agents in there, you got legal counsel. Like, he's basically at court. This is not therapy. This is court, man.
Yeah, I wish we were all afforded this level of resources, for our issues.
Okay.
But no, it's I think Draymond has, since coming back from that suspension,
He has been a lot better. So
he
I'm
has been a
very
lot
happy
better.
for
I
him.
mean, you'll still see him. I guess you would see him just be like regular Draymond. Like, he'll still be barking at opponents, like
He might
getting
yell at a
into,
ref, but he's not getting
into little
ejected.
things.
That's the key thing. He's not getting himself ejected from games. Last year, he was getting ejected like every other week.
Well,
And Yusuf Nurkic had the infamous quote of, "That brother needs help."
Well, I don't know if you saw, but like the Wizards played the Warriors on the weekend, and Jordan Poole said after the game, quote, "I love those guys over there," referring to the Warriors, and then kind of corrected it and said, "I love most of those guys over there." So when Mark Spears tweeted this out, Draymond actually replied to that tweet and the quote and said, "I really am sorry." Which I'm
Which
like,
is very funny. It's very funny.
well, I'm like, yeah, first of all, like, yes, I'm sure there's some remorse there, but like, yeah, like, I don't even know.
How are you guys reading that?
Like, has he apologized to Jordan Poole?
He said he's apologized to him
Directly?
several times. Doesn't mean
Okay.
Jordan Poole has to accept that apology or not
Sure.
be petty.
He
but,
also
yeah.
was Draymond was also on a podcast, possibly his own, and
Probably, yeah.
a few months ago, and said that experience really helped him learn how to be a vet, which is one of the wildest
That's an
statements I have
insane statement.
ever heard. Like, he
Why?
punching a teammate in practice made him learn how to be a vet. Like, if anything, that should disqualify you from ever being a vet.
No, come on.
You
It
think
didn't
Jonathan
disqualify,
Kuminga's not looking over his shoulders every time? Like,
I mean,
Draymond's,
we
like,
have
walking
played
up?
basketball with Will, so I can kind of see how he relates to some of
whoa,
this.
hold on now.
No, okay.
Hold on, players.
I'm glad Draymond's
No,
doing
you're
the
not
work.
that toxic.
I'm glad Draymond's doing the work and getting better, but I feel like we shouldn't do any revisionist history on this punch on Jordan Poole. Like, it
Oh
was
yeah, it's one of the most insane
absolutely
moments. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
this might be this. We all love therapy on this podcast. We're all individually in therapy, and we all really enjoy it. But like, I do feel like there is a reflexive, like, I'm really like over expressing of how much therapy is changing people's lives once they're in therapy. That's just my personal thought. That's personal observation. Let's just say.
No, that's
People in therapy are actually very proud to be in therapy these days, which is great.
Sure. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is great. Get whatever you need.
No, I'm not gonna put.
Anyway,
therapy
shouts to
on that.
Draymond for taking.
Would you
Court
let
calls
anyone more than your therapist into your therapy session?
Yeah, when I let David Weiss, who was he again? The vice president of operations and administration.
This
into
is
my
like
therapy call?
this is
Probably
like
not.
if you,
No.
this is like
This is
if you had
almost
someone.
violating Draymond's, like, honestly, it's kind of like it's a little bit of a violation of his own privacy, but whatever.
It's like if
seems
you
like
had
it.
someone from the Nation Network sit in on your
Yeah,
therapy.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's Rick Celebrini, VP of Player Health and Performance.
Hi, Elias. Do you have a couple of minutes on Thursday? I got his session ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so anyway, this is an in for me though because it's working for Draymond.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
Just recently hit the big 4-0. What about you, bro?
A little more recently 4-0, but we are both in the 40 club.
Let me tell you, man. Being an adult really comes with its share of challenges.
Definitely. I think both you and I are homeowners, and I think we're both also dealing with mortgages in life.
Yeah, man. Mortgage rates, choosing the right terms, dealing with paperwork. It can be really overwhelming,
I still don't know how that works.
Well, listen. That's where our friends at Dominion Lending Centers come in, man. They make the whole process simple and stress-free. Whether you're renewing your mortgage, hunting for the best rates, or if you just need advice, they're here to help, bro.
You know what? I am looking for that advice, and I think that's why I'm going to visit www.dominionlending.ca.
Yeah, man. www.dominionlending.ca. Take the guesswork out of your mortgage and step into financial confidence with our friends at Dominion Lending by our side.
Okay, this is an in. Let's get an out from you, bro.
Let's get an out from me. Okay.
Yeah.
An out from me is Grizzlies ball screens.
Oh my god. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got to give full credit here. Obviously, this is
You
from
have
Thinking
2
Basketball.
minutes.
Thinking Basketball, the very popular basketball podcast on YouTube, has pointed this out, how the Grizzlies run a really efficient offense, even though they're very low on how much they use ball screens. So I actually looked into the numbers. According to NBA stats, right, only 8.2% of their plays are finished by a ball handler in the pick and roll. That is the lowest mark in the NBA. The next closest is Denver at 12% of their plays. Only 3.2% of their plays are finished by the roll man in the pick and roll, which is also, once again, the lowest in the league. So they're the lowest in the NBA by far. Only like 10% of their plays.
Explain this to me like I'm 3. So what makes this special?
Well, they're still really efficient in the league. Like they're 5th in the NBA in offensive rating,
despite
even though
not having any ball screens.
They don't got ball screens, man. So literally, the ball screens are out.
Why are they not doing that?
So there's actually a couple really good explainers on this on YouTube. Yeah. But basically, the Grizzlies brought in this like new assistant coach from Europe who has been running a very innovative offense. And I believe this coach has sort of been like the primary driver behind this shift because like in the past they did play. It's not like they don't have the personnel to do it. They have Ja Morant, you know, they have Desmond Bane. Like these guys can play pick and roll, no problem. They have roll guys like Zach Edey, who you would think would be great at rolling, or a pick and pop guy like Jaren Jackson Jr. But they brought in really clever principles to sort of like basically the whole idea is not to crowd the ball. When you are obviously bringing a ball screen into the situation, you are making the defense stink, but you are also introducing a second defender at minimum into the play. And what they've done really well is screen off the ball to get guys open, or sort of like use cutting and then cutting out to then create space for basically one-on-ones to happen. So basically like, yeah, they're taking a really fresh, innovative approach towards offense, and it's really working. So shouts to the Grizzlies taking ball screens and taking that out. Is this interesting to you at all, man?
Read the room, man. We're doing in-out, and you bringing ball screens to the party.
Well, I'm just saying they're literally out, man. They're not running ball screens no more. The whole NBA has been around ball screens ever since Steve Nash and the 7 Seconds or Less Suns. That's 20 years of history here.
Asian potluck. This guy bringing a carrot cake. What are you doing, man?
You nerd.
Ball. Oh my god! All right,
I'm getting stuffed in a locker. Okay, anyway, give me one in and one out for you.
Okay, out for me. This might be controversial, but Shai's IG captions.
Oh, brother.
Shai, we love Shai. We're rooting for Shai.
MVP. Shai's MVP. Do you see 40 and 3/4 against the Cavs?
You know, Canadian, all of that. But you know, I used to talk about how like guys in the NBA weren't really funny. Like they were only funny. They were only sports funny because they're only funny under a sports context.
Okay.
Like DeMar and Kyle always joke with each other. Love those bits. But like they're only funny because they're athletes. If two guys did that in any other context,
right,
at any other workplace, you'd be like, yo, these guys are annoying.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tell me if that's true or not.
Well, you and I have been those annoying people.
I was about to say, isn't this the podcast?
We're a sports funny podcast. Let's be very honest. Actually, Alex is real funny. I'm maybe sports funny.
So Shai, here's some of Shai's recent captions. Scratching things off my bucket list. I can't go back and forth with someone that is bucketless. We feeling this?
It's kind of bars, man.
Okay, arbitrator.
I'm gonna just say ahead. Jerome. Like I know for a fact that will probably be about most of these captions.
Yeah.
Well, I think if anything, you're just experiencing fatigue from them because I think his captions has always been like corny, like very dad jokey, pun like. But then he also is like super cool because of the fits and like his play and everything.
Yeah, this is so like the contrast. This is the one part where I'm like, damn, it's not cool.
Yeah, this is like a freestyle rapper that thinks like this is actually kind of like early Kanye where he would drop these like his Miracle Whips line and everyone's like, that's kind of corny.
My present kicked my ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why is that the Kanye line?
Okay. Sorry.
That's an amazing Kanye line.
Okay. All right. Well, bucket list isn't. No. Okay. Let me put this in perspective. When you guys were coming up, when you guys were Shai's age, what social media were you guys using?
Asian Avenue.
Yeah. MSN Messenger.
Book.
Yeah. MSN. AOL.
Yeah. This is like what you would put in your MSN caption, man. You know, like what you're listening to right now, and it's like, you know, num/encore.mp3_j_z_ featuring _Linkin Park. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the era adjusted version of that.
You know, I don't even.
But no one ever thought it was cool.
That's fine. I don't think. I don't think Shai thinks he's like, oh man, I'm spitting when I write this. Or maybe he does. If he does,
that part,
maybe.
I think he does. Think he's.
I think he's feeling it. A lot of people are feeling it, and I guess I'm just straight up.
Alex, should you just ask him at All Star?
Yeah.
Do you think those are bars?
Yeah. I think you guys should have like a bar. You guys should go bar for bar.
We should have a bar off. Yeah.
Bar off.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I interviewed Shai at All Star, we spent the whole weekend showing him photos of you. There's video of this.
There actually is real video.
Actually, the video might not exist anymore.
Wow,
because it was at Yahoo Sports Canada. But yeah,
this is why it's important to own your rights, man.
We just found 5 photos of you and just spent the whole weekend showing it to Nikhil Alexander Walker and Shai.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that. That was a great surprise.
Wait, which year was that then? You would have been
Chicago.
That was
Chicago. Okay, right, we talked to Shai in 2019.
And this was before Shai was Shai. Like it's like two people. Also, it's like 2 people at his table for post game.
Totally.
After the rookie game.
Also, Shai is undeniably cool, man. That's the thing. That's like, I mean,
no,
we could joke around about all this, but he's undeniably cool.
Yeah, that's why it upsets me more because I'm almost like, I think kind of what Jerome said. It's like everything about him is super cool, but then this one kind of sticks out to me.
Is there something was there a particular caption that like turned you the other way, Alex?
I think it's the overall, and I think it's just the overall reaction of like, I think people think these are good. And I think it's okay to think like to love Shai, root for him, and still be like, yeah, these are kind of corny.
I think there is a little bit of everyone is there is
I like this.
There is an element, I think, where everyone's kind of in on like, oh, Shai's gonna come up with a thing. So it's not necessarily about the quality or whether it's cool or corny. It's as much as like, how far is this guy gonna go with it?
Yeah. Another one. I'm not trying to kick it in the new year. I'm trying to kick it in a new gear. Yeah.
That just seems like a throwaway like rap line.
Yeah. I don't do the IG lives. I'm really live in real life. Like, come on, guys.
That one just sounds lazy, actually. Yeah.
I turn my L's into lessons and my flaws into weapons.
Okay, that's not good either. Yeah,
that's not good.
You know what? You might be onto something here.
I
think the major key here is like, you know, you're not a fan of Shai's bars. You're trying to bar them. But there's no country for old men. Shouts to Javier Bardem.
Yo, what?
Is that better? Is that better?
Crazy. No, it's crazy. I didn't know you were rapping until the end. I thought you were just talking.
There was zero cadence, man.
No,
none.
But then when you said No Country for Old Men, I was like, oh shoot, he's gonna rhyme it with Bardo, not Bardem.
Oh my god.
All right, moving off Shai.
What's in for you?
Right.
Okay, in for me is
Oh man,
new Toronto Tempo merch.
hell yeah!
So
yeah.
That looks good, man.
Toronto Tempo dropped a bunch of merch last week. I think they collabed with like Roots, Player Society, Peace Collective, Give and Grow. I'm probably missing a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one. It's We Are 21, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
21, right? Yeah, and lots of great selection. Reminded me, I know we and a lot of people giving them a hard
We Are
time
Around
about-
21, just to get it right.
We're around 21. I know a lot of us, gave him a hard time about the name, logo, all that stuff, and still stand by those. But there's something really exciting, about a new team and new merch. Like it reminds me of when like the Raptors first came here to Toronto, and it's like everybody wanted a hat, wanted a sweater, and some of the merch are really good. I really like that Bordeaux color that they have, and like that hydrogen blue. I think it just makes for great merch. So there's a couple pieces that I like.
I think for what
gonna
anyone
cop.
has said, no one has ever really complained about the colors. I
Yeah.
think a lot
Yeah,
of people have loved the colors.
Yeah. So I think they're winning the merch game because regardless of how people feel about the Tempo name and all that, the merch, I think this first rollout came out real nice. So,
Also, yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, man. Also, yeah, I mean, the people that they got to actually style the merch to, I think, was also really cool. Like the rollout was good. You know what I mean? I know the rollout of the name and everything got spoiled by the WNBA, so that kind of like, I mean, that completely worked against them. Let's be honest, right? But I think when they've actually had time to sort of roll out something more planned and coordinated like this, it's looked good, man. Shouts to Heather from Ball Her Way too. Being
I was about to say, it was so cool to, it was so cool to see them.
Yeah, super cool.
I'm down.
Right.
Although it is quite expensive, I must say. But it's fine. It's fine. We just gotta move on.
The pricing's up there. Yeah,
Things are expensive.
120 for a sweater though.
Things are expensive.
Things are expensive. It's Toronto. You're right. Let's
let's get one more in and out from each of us. Let's get an in and out from you.
Okay, I got. How about we do rapid fire? Because honestly, a lot of these are pretty quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Rapid fire ins that I had left on here. Doug Christie. He's actually 8-2 right now as interim head coach of the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, when Mike Brown got fired, like obviously a lot of people slammed them, including Mike Malone, who had previously got canned also by the Sacramento Kings. He said, quote, "No class, no balls." I mean, they're 8-2, man. I actually feel like Sacramento Kings might have made the right decision here. I don't know what Mike Brown was doing wrong, but it certainly felt like they could need something, and now they've actually turned their season around. So Doug Christie is in right now. The Atlanta Hawks are very in. Just as the ultimate league pass team. Like you'll never care enough to watch the Atlanta. Like you'll never care about how the Atlanta Hawks are doing. You never get invested in like how far they're gonna go in the playoffs. Like is this team a future contender? Blah blah blah. You'll never wonder those things. But when you turn them on League Pass, and they're always on at 7 p.m., so like they're very readily watchable. They're always fun. They just beat the Boston Celtics. They're actually above 500 for once. And then they also have, most importantly, a lot of nerdy players where if you know a lot about a Dyson Daniels, if you know a lot about a Jalen Johnson, if you know a lot about DeAndre Hunter turning a season around and, being a six man of the year candidate, it's really impressive to your NBA friends if you know a lot about what the Atlanta Hawks got going on right now. So the Atlanta Hawks are in for me. Unrivaled is also really in for me. Obviously, they launched over the weekend. It's really fun. 3-on-3 full court is mad exhausting, but the skill level and sort of you get to showcase a lot more one-on-one play. I think that's been really fun to watch as well. And then lastly, my last in is Many Men by 50 Cent, which is a song I haven't thought about since 2006. But yeah, this is actually Nikola Jokic's favorite song, according to DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan said, quote, "Anytime Nikola Jokic requests a song, if it's not Serbian folk music, it is Many Men by 50 Cent, and he knows the words from start to finish." So
yes, which someone pointed out, does he say all the words?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he knows not to say all the words, but this is pretty
because a
sick,
certain
man.
word comes up a lot in that pretty fast flow. So I would be interested to see how he gets through it. Yeah.
I think Jokic. I don't know. Why do you think Many Men is so significant to Jokic? because he doesn't really strike me as a guy with that many ops. You know what I mean? Because that's what the ethos of the song is. I like many men wish death upon me. I feel like
this is like I feel like it's probably.
I mean, there are a lot of detractors to like his like MVP statuses at times. Like
who? Like Nick Wright? Like
sure.
Who would he have been around early on who would have put him on hip hop music?
I mean, he's in the NBA, buddy. I mean,
like his first few years, like. I'm thinking maybe Wilson Chandler, you know.
Oh wow, Wilson Chandler's like, get rich or die trying.
Check also, 50. I mean, but 50 was like a global icon.
Yeah.
Like,
also, Many Men is just a super catchy song. I feel like probably gets a lot of run in these NBA locker rooms, and I'm guessing it caught on.
Yeah, because you're not really hearing in the club, I think, in the locker room.
But this,
that feels weird post game vibe.
This always speaks to me too, because like for people who did not grow up in America, it's always very funny when they end up choosing what their favorite songs are. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's like a little bit of the immigrant experience for us too. You know, I think people are always surprised if they see us at karaoke, and I'm like, hey, let's let's do some of the songs that I want to do.
Get back. You don't know me like that.
I might pull out a Sexual Healing once in a while just to like really
that was great.
rile up the crowd.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. And Jerome, you pull out songs from your white era.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if I didn't immigrate,
you got a great. Who's the whiny guy from Blink-182? You got a great
Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, you got a really great Tom.
A good nasally emo pop punk voice. Thank you.
Where are you? Kind of, that kind
I'm
of stuff.
so sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always funny to other people there because they're like, "Whoa, how are these Asian people listening to these songs?"
They're spitting.
It's the same. It's the same feeling when I get when Jokic is like, "I love many men." All right, those are my ins. It's the 30th anniversary, and our friends at Axe are joining the celebration with a limited edition collection that's as original as the Toronto Raptors themselves.
The collection includes 3 essentials to keeping you fresh. The body spray features 48-hour high-definition scent, blending sea mist and grapefruit to keep you unstoppable throughout the day. The deodorant stick is perfect for staying confident, with a scent that keeps you smelling irresistible while showing your Raptors pride. And the body wash delivers a luxurious lather that leaves you feeling clean and smelling astonishing after every shower.
For over 40 years, Axe has drawn on body spray research and the expertise of the world's leading perfumers to craft quality fragrances and help people feel confident in their own skin.
Find the Axe Toronto Raptors 30th Anniversary Limited Edition collection at all major retailers, Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, and Real Canadian Superstore. But act fast because it's only available for a limited time.
Celebrate the milestone with Axe and the Toronto Raptors. Channel the freshness, energy, and unstoppable spirit of our local champions, because smelling great is always a slam dunk. Alex, rapid fire through your ins and we'll rapid fire through the outs.
My only last in is just the Detroit Pistons. Pistons have now replaced the Orlando Magic, who were in at the start of the year. Orlando's now
the start of the year. In this case, not the season. You just mean 3 weeks ago you replaced the Magic already.
Orlando's out. Detroit Pistons are in.
Okay,
as the new cool story in the East.
What hooked you on the Pistons?
Just the fact that they're finally winning. 21 and 21. It's been so long.
Yeah,
I don't even remember the last good Pistons team. I guess you would have to go back to like that the Ben Wallace era to really find like a really good Pistons.
Wow, has that been that long?
Yeah, I mean they made
Shout
the
out
playoffs.
Jason Maxiell.
Yeah, they made the playoffs.
Jason Maxiell, another all-average team player.
He below.
Yeah, he below. Yeah,
Pistons are back, man. I feel like they're on the way up. Kay Cunningham is getting a lot of buzz. Really,
he's gonna be all-star for the first time.
Justifying that #1 overall pick. And Pistons are on the way up, so I'm happy for them. It's always cool when you see teams who've just been like irrelevant forever.
No, it's crazy because they went through Andre Drummond era. They went through the Josh Smith era.
Yeah, Greg Monroe.
Era. Yeah,
right.
Remember they won the sweepstakes to get him.
Yeah. Stan Van Gundy like as GM and coach.
Right, Reggie Jackson era.
Oh yeah, that rap album cover photo.
Yeah, rap album cover photo.
They got a Dwayne Casey era in there when he was calling Sekou Doumbouya the next Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
which was a real thing. He said Henry Ellenson has shades of Dirk, which was crazy.
And wasn't Stanley Johnson like a LeBron stopper against
Right.
LeBron in the
Stanley
first round?
Johnson era, man. Yeah, they deserve it, man. I'm actually everyone in the league should be happy for Detroit.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy.
I like this.
Plus, I got a little beef going. I don't know if you guys saw with the Pacers last week.
Beefing with the Pacers. Wow.
The Legos.
No, Malice in the Palace, man. Let's bring it
play
back.
with Legos.
Yeah, Malice in the Palace,
man.
baby.
I don't think Adam Silver's sweating this one.
Oh my gosh.
Yo, is playing with Legos something to be slandered with? Like, come on.
No.
Legos are cool.
But it is an incredible burn.
Yeah.
It is
a
good. You're right.
perfect burn.
You're right.
Like,
Because it's something that's normalized and fun, and like it's a clear passion for Miles Turner. And then just to hit him with like, you play with Legos, like he would just go home and like break his largest piece. Like,
he's like, the Millennium Falcon's not even cool.
Oh, he has like a Darth Vader one that's like 1,000,000 pieces.
Right.
He's got to go home to that.
That's insane. Yo, that's insane to say you go home to your Legos and not to
it's just only that.
The woman
it's
waiting
like,
for you at home is just a Lego.
Oh my god,
Lego
your
Darth
little
Vader.
Lego player.
No, honestly, I like. Oh no, I don't support this at all. But it is objectively funny.
Yeah. Just call him like a little Lego man.
Let's see. Rapid fire outs. Wingstop, which is the nickname for OG and Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh, it's not just the place we eat after our media game.
Don't the Knicks have a terrible defense? The out also the 65 game rule. I just
that sucks, man.
I just hate how it's like Luka is now eliminated from like all the awards. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like guys are gonna pick up injuries during the season. If Luka comes back and has a ridiculous like last 3 months, he deserves to be there. Like I think you're just erasing a lot of people from these like kind of like history books. Like when you look back at these seasons, it's like, why are these players missing?
I think people should be able to also just vote. Like if you think if games played matters the most to you, then you should be able to vote.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it's effectively in your own 65 game rule, but to apply it across the board is a little tough. I get that. Yeah.
And then I have out too is the dad who put Victor Wembanyama's jersey on auction. So what happened was,
it was brutal.
Wemby gave the jersey to a kid courtside, and then a few weeks later now this jersey has popped up on auction for $10,000.
Like right after.
Like right after. So and Wemby was just trying to do the kid a solid, give him a jersey, and now it's being monetized.
But that's how the game is played. I think there's isn't there like a whole industry around like people who explicitly go get like create memorabilia so that they can like sell them and stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like in this case it was like gifted from Wemby to the kid with the expectation that he was just gonna keep it.
Tell me he's violating his kid and violating Wemby.
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think because the thing is like there's like a whole thing now with like like Pokemon cards have been around forever, and like it's always been a big thing to like get the rarest Pokemon cards. You know this, man. Your nephews love Pokemon cards. That's why they give you a Lechonk, not even a shiny Lechonk. That's crazy. That card's worth like 2 cents. But my point is that like there's like a whole industry now of like adults who like obviously have way more buying power and spending power, and then they end up buying a ton of these cards. And the purpose of them is to sort of like get the right cards and get the right shinies and then resell them for money. And it's like, I guess, turned it from like a hobby into like turning it into some sort of like a business practice.
Well, it's people lining up for sneakers and reselling them immediately, like while they're lining up. Like
this is like a resale situation.
It's a resale situation. Yeah.
I mean, it just takes the love of the game out of it. And that's, I think that's the part that kind of hurts. You know what I mean? Like someone should just love a shiny Charizard.
Also, generally,
it's cool. I think they love shiny Charizard.
Right. Anytime I see like a player give something to a fan or a young fan that's up front, I think just maybe because knowing, like, let's say for Scotiabank Arena, like what are the fans that are able to even get access to that? Right. It's almost like the rich giving the rich sometimes, or it can feel like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Raptor fan and you want to get something signed, you basically have to somehow get a pregame pass, which is already very exclusive and very difficult.
Sure.
Or you need to buy a ticket and sit in very specific sections of like, I think 117 and 118 are the two areas by the players tunnel where you can hang out before the game and sort of lean over and try to get things signed. It's just like very difficult to even get to those seats in the first place. But I don't know. I mean, I guess sports are a business too. Like we forget that sometimes, you know. But
listen,
like,
if NBA players are really about their fans, after they warm up, they go up to the 300s and go sign some jerseys there, man.
You want Garrett Temple to take 500 shots against an assistant and then walk upstairs?
Not Garrett Temple. I want a player that plays.
Okay,
a player that potentially fans have a jersey to.
You want RJ Barrett to come out, warm up, and then go upstairs to sign
right.
He can
things
take
and
the
then
elevator
come back
up.
downstairs.
That's right. That's right. He should surprise a 300 section every game.
That'd be cool.
Okay. That would be kind of sick.
Or
You know what? I actually do support this.
do a
You're
thing
right.
where you pick a section every game and bring them down pre-game.
Yes, that would be the more efficient way.
I like that. I actually like that
Yeah.
a lot. Actually, good idea,
Yeah.
Jerome. That's nice.
Speaking of the Spurs, they're currently on Betway. Their over/under adjusted is 39.5 wins. They're two games under 500 right now. I feel like everyone's expecting the Spurs to just maybe go on a little run and maybe push for the playoffs, even the top 8. Right now, Spurs over 39.5 wins is 1.90 odd on Betway. Do you see the San Antonio Spurs getting to 40 wins this season?
You know what's crazy about the Spurs is like the Spurs right now, as of recording, are in 12th in the Western Conference, and the Lakers are 6th in the Western Conference. The Spurs have a better point differential than the Lakers, which I think to me is like really, really impressive for how much the Spurs have sort of jumped year over year. Once again, the Chris Paul effect, even though I doubted Chris Paul,
You
because I'm a
can't
Chris
deny
Paul
him.
doubter, you can't deny it. This guy goes anywhere and he makes them winners. Like this is almost more impressive than what he did with OKC. Right? Because at least at that time, Chris Paul was still in his prime, maybe towards the end of his prime, but still in his prime. Chris Paul's now like 40 years old. There's guys in his league that are young enough to be his son. Like him and like Stephon Castle could be young enough to be his son, basically. And he's still making this team like they're 500 right now. They're 19 and 21. They're like basically 500. Obviously, Wemby is like a huge part of all of this. He is, you know, I mean, he's just having a generational season. And he's going to do this for the next like 10, 15 years. We know that. But it is really impressive what Chris Paul can do for you. So I don't know. On my heart, I would actually say they'll do it. On my heart, I'll say they can do it because I've seen them compete against a lot of the top teams. And
they've just lost a lot of close games too, I feel like.
Sure. Which you would
part
expect.
of that is still, you're just still trying to learn to win those games. So Spurs over 39.5 wins. Make sure you hit the QR code below. Check out all your basketball betting odds on Betway.
Before we get back to the show, we just want to let you know that this podcast is proudly brought to you by Tangerine. Tangerine is the official bank of Hello and Welcome, the Toronto Raptors, WNBA, and the NBA.
Yeah, man. And fans are at the core of everything that Tangerine does. And they're not just fans of basketball. They're fans of fans, right? And Will, I know you know what it's like to be a fan. You're a fan who's got a nickname for every starter. You're a fan who's 5 inches from the screen when the game is on. You're a fan who'll show up to Jurassic Park in a blizzard to cheer on your team.
They call me Fan Ho Park.
No, that's what Tangerine is all about. Fans of fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're hearing this, there's no doubt in your commitment. And fans like you are at the heart of what makes this game special. That's why for the Raptors' 30th anniversary, Tangerine is shining a light on you, the fans, and celebrating the passion that you bring to the stands because this is how we fan. To learn more about Tangerine's basketball partnerships, head to tangerine.ca/basketball. Now let's get back to the show.
You have a couple more outs?
Let's rapid fire through a couple more outs. Okay, so I have in terms of outs, let me scroll to them. Okay. The Sixers as a whole, right? So right now
they're still in trouble. Damn.
They're 15 and 25. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 2 and 8 in their last 10 games. This is as of recording Sunday morning. Paul George is averaging 17 points per game, which is his third lowest mark since, his lowest mark since his third season. He has 7 games that he shot above 50%, 10 games where he shot over 45%. He's played, I think, 30. So certainly in just general, they're not good. Joel Embiid this season, he has missed time due to the following reasons: knee, face, foot, ankle, personal, rest, illness, suspension. How are there 8 different reasons listed for why Joel Embiid has missed times this season? That's crazy. It's only been half
Sounds
the year.
like Jackie Chan after a film shoot.
That's honestly like, and some of it is just like unfortunate. Obviously, I never even want to make light of personal, for example. He also got suspended, which honestly, that the suspension was not particularly warranted, but I mean, still, whatever. He's been ejected for games. By the way, ejections really count, so that should be 9 in this. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. I don't know any other season that's been as tragic as this Sixers season. Remember coming into the year, we were talking about them as like maybe they're the ones that are the best contenders against the Boston Celtics. And this is year 1 of a 4-year max for Paul George too, and he's averaging 17. Like they replaced Tobias Harris with Tobias Harris.
We got to put Lawrence Frank. We got to put Lawrence Frank on the in list, man. Lawrence Frank knows what he's doing.
Low-key, the Clippers have actually done a really good job, but he also, we're just, I mean, come on, man, we can't put that in. Also, Norm Powell should be on the in list. In terms of outs, I just thought about this in arena contests.
Oh, okay.
So
explain.
Here's the thing. I remember back in like the Heatles era. There was a fan that hit a half-court shot in Miami, and then
got tackled by LeBron.
He got tackled by LeBron, right? There was a big moment. He won $75,000 for the half-court shot, which I'm like, okay, that feels about right. Because like, what are your chances of hitting a half-court shot? Like, as a regular out-of-shape fan that comes out of the crowd, like 1%. You know what I mean? Like, so on average, you're putting up like it's like a $750 like promotion to run, which is quite cheap when it comes to sort of half-court sort of like options or like halftime options or whatever in arena. Nowadays, I've seen half-court shots go as low as $5,000.
Damn.
Okay.
Man.
So like Bucks. It's the prizing, not the activity.
The prizing is crazy.
No, it is bad.
What do you mean you got to hit a half-court shot for $5,000? Man?
No, you can just go to the blackjack table.
Wasn't there one where I forgot if it's NBA or elsewhere, but there was a kid who won a PS5, but then they actually
the Hornets.
It was actually the Hornets, right?
Yeah, Hornets,
so the kid won a PS5, and then after that, they told him he didn't win. Everyone caught wind of it and bullied the Hornets to give him just a PS5.
That's like $600. It can't even. I might be $500 at this point.
No, it's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Out on.
How did it get so cheap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should keep context, but we should give him proper prices.
You gotta raise the price.
Totally agree. Yeah, I think Bucks was giving $5,000, Spurs $10,000, Hawks $10,000.
Bucks not bringing the Bucks?
Yo, $5,000 is crazy for a half-court shot, man. Anyway, other things are out. Speaking of the little snafu that the Hornets got into, the Warriors broadcast crew, because I mean, just in general, they're not great to listen to. And I've watched a ton of Warriors games, bro. That broadcast crew sucks. But them whining about, the Raptors made a fan who delivered the ball take off his Steph Curry jersey. And they're like, they've ruined this kid's night. Oh my God, how dare they do that? Turns out the Raptors, the full story, which actually went out in the Toronto Star, and the Raptors actually spoke on record about this whole situation. It was the parents who asked the kid to change the jersey, not like the Raptors came by and made him change his jersey. And for proof of that, the Raptors also said they've had games, for example, when like the Bucks were in town and like a kid wearing a Bucks jersey went out and delivered the ball. They're not going to make a child change their jersey. But to hear this become this huge like controversy because the broadcast crew went out of their way to whine about this thing without even getting the facts right. No, the Warriors broadcast crew way out for this one. Like seriously.
Also, when your team is bad, you do need to find other things to talk about.
Sure, yeah. That, by the way, later that night, they actually did lose to the Raptors,
exactly.
which was crazy in its own right.
So In is actually do some research. Yeah.
In is doing some research.
Research is super.
Shouts to Joe Bear at the Toronto Star. He actually got the story about this. Also, shouts to the Raptors for even going out their way to clarify what the whole situation was. Really much ado about nothing. Also out for me, the Shaq Dwight Howard beef. Like, bro, when is it gonna end, man?
Is it still going on?
Yes.
What's the newest thing?
Well, they were tweeting at each other. They're still complaining about each other, and I'm like, what is this beef even about anymore, man? Is it just about who can be named Superman while playing center for the Orlando Magic? Like, who cares, man?
No, all these like former player beefs, like former players with former players, former players with current players, they're all out.
How old is Shaq? 50?
Yeah, like Brandon Jennings has been going at like Jason Tatum.
Oh, you had that as an out, right?
Yeah, but it's like, what? Like these are just, I don't know. Maybe
but the thing is, they can't even settle the score.
Like, what's the point of these? Like, you're just talking in hypotheticals all the time.
Like, I want players to actively beef with each other in basketball so that they can play each other with stakes on the line, and then we can feel some sort of like resolution, some sort of satisfaction, and be like, okay, yeah, they won. there's nothing Shaq and Dwight Howard can really do, man. I mean, even like they talked about like celebrity boxing. It's like, I don't want to see a 40-year-old fight a 50-year-old.
Yeah,
right.
No, thanks.
So like that's sad. But just in general, like, give it up, man. All of this over a nickname is crazy. Oh, it's just a nickname. And honestly, neither of them are
not
Superman in the first place.
Yeah, not a great nickname.
Yeah, Shaq's had this beef with Dwight for so long, and it's to the point where I'm like on Dwight's side. I'm like, Shaq's just got to stop.
Yeah, because Shaq is usually your guy, right, Alex?
I love Shaq.
Yeah.
But I guess everybody becomes uncool.
Yeah. And then the last out I have is just Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins.
All right.
The Shaq-Kins combos must go. No, it's crazy. I mean,
Jays are down bad.
Even I, who is like, I've tapped out as a Jays fan, which I think ultimately is like a bad thing. Maybe not for me in particular, because I'm not that special, but I mean like the average Jays fan who like, I'd be interested in going to Jays games. I'd be interested in watching Jays when they're good, but I'm obviously fair weather because like baseball's not my favorite sport. But the thing is like, I'm still a sports consumer and they've completely lost me, man. And like every other like casual Jays fan I know.
Will is crazy.
No, I'm saying they've lost the average like casual Jays fan in this city.
Yeah.
Because of how incompetent they are. And all the stories and updates are all like stuff like this.
Yeah, the PR is tough right now.
There's no way you can spin this, man.
It's not getting any better.
So anyway, when you lose the general fan, I think that's ultimately when you see regime changes.
No Sally comment. I'll be there opening night. Hit me up.
No, I mean I love the Jays. The thing I want to love the Jays, but I'm I can't be as serious about them as I am about the Raptors. I think the current
Toronto sports fan pivot is got to be the Leafs right now. Yeah.
No,
really?
That's forever out.
I think the tempo is coming for everybody, but
tempo, we gotta wait one more year.
We gotta wait one more year. The Argos did win the Grey Cup. Does that move you?
Yes. Yeah. People give us a hard time sometimes for not acknowledging the Argos.
Okay.
Congrats to the Argos.
Argos got good merch though. That's what I like about Argos.
On
classic
Cup.
Argos merch is nice.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, a little Doug Flutie.
Yeah, I just bought an Argos sweatshirt on eBay.
Cool. Sorry.
I
was dying to say that. Cool.
Yapping. All right, that's it.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your ins and outs of the 2024-2025 NBA season.
At StephenLeBron.com. Also in is the NBA All Average team. Lots of people submitting their emails and stuff. So we'll revisit that at some point. Lots of great names.
We got how many more Raptors games to go? 40?
39 possibly.
39.
No, we might be at 40.
Yeah, we have 40. We have 40 more games to go. So obviously lots of time to talk about everything else. Yeah,
well, two of those games are going to be in Atlanta, which we are traveling to.
We will be in Atlanta, yeah. I'm excited, man. And I hope Atlanta Hawks PR has heard that clip of me saying that the Atlanta Hawks are in right now. That was unprompted.
Well, we were hoping when we went to LA that, Clippers PR didn't see the Clippers tweet that you sent out that day.
Had to delete some tweets.
You're like, Clippers are the most embarrassing organization in all of sports.
And then I was like, that media meal's so good.
It is a really good media meal. But yeah, for programming, we're going to be out there in Atlanta. We'll do some content from out there.
Yeah.
We're going to be visiting some of my old stomping grounds. We're going to do some stuff with our boys over at No Dunks.
We're at the Classic Factory, man.
We're going to hit the Classic Factory. At least right now, the plan is our boys are going to be on the drop. The Friday drop over with No Dunks. And then we're going to record something with them that I think, what's the plan, Alex, right now? I think we're going to put it out first thing Monday.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out.
Is this custody of Black Dragon Roll match?
Yeah, so we're gonna put Jerome Blonstradamus in a
Did I re-blonde my hair and leave the length on top just so I could look exactly like Dominic Mysterio?
Oh my god. Yeah, the custody match is coming.
Yeah,
I still don't know how you're gonna do it. Classic Factory is pretty small. I don't think we could put me in a cage.
Well, we'll work on it. I'm sure there's a ladder somewhere.
Coming out of my cage, and I've been doing just fine.
I'm doing not fine right now. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
That's right.
Go buy yourself some Axe Raptors limited edition stuff.
Absolutely, limited edition, baby. Okay, so that does it for the podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Again, we'll have more content later this week. Of course, the Raptors play more games this week, so we'll just catch you on the React Pods. And don't forget, if the Raptors give you a bad game, the React Pod guarantee is that we'll give you a great React Pod. We're bringing Alex. We're bringing Jerome. We're bringing Samson. We're bringing Assad. We're bringing whoever, honestly. Like, we're just going to have a good time. So even if the Raptors lose, it's always going to be a good time on the React Pod. That's our guarantee. So thanks everyone for listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. And yeah, catch you next week.